does that bring us up to? How many short are we now?
Still 2 down with him, there'll be 1 down, he's just replacing. One of the 2 we're missing.
And we're waiting on approval of the second, or for the person to accept?
We're still going through their, what do we request? References.
There you go.
Because I think it's important we check them.
Right.
It is. Any other discussion on water treatment plant hire?
Would you guys be willing to vote on that tonight, so we can start this guy? Or do you wanna wait till Monday?
How's his references look?
Oh, he was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's the one that had the resume and everything, the first guy.
Yep.
Okay,
That's what I thought.
Give the first guy.
Yes,
Okay, Can we take a vote on it? Who wants
Louis,
to-
what is your impression of this person?
I like it. I think he's gonna fit well.
He interviewed really well.
See potential.
Yes,
Yeah. I thought he.
So he'll have to get his license.
correct.
And what's the timeline? 1
It'll be
year?
1 year, yeah.
Okay.
He's, he was good, he interviewed really well.
Correct.
Smart guy.
Okay, can we have a vote then? Somebody put it out there?
I make a motion that we hire the, or one.
Let's have Ben read the resolution.
Well,
Okay,
Be it
sorry.
resolved that David Riddle, Fredonia, New York, is hereby approved as a provisional water treatment plant operator trainee, effective immediately at the rate of $19.13 an hour. All civil service rules and regulations will be followed.
I'll second that.
Trustee Lazzaroni?
Aye.
Trustee Wendell?
Aye.
Trustee Cruz-Keefe?
Aye.
Trustee Brockler?
Aye.
Trustee Esperson?
Aye.
There you go. One last thing we have to worry about on Monday.
Yep.
All right. Department reports. Code enforcement.
Planning board met last week to get this updates in the sign law. Can we get our attorneys to get it going so we can get a public hearing going? I've got a couple of businesses that want to do electronic signs, and it's been done for quite a while. Same with cannabis, that's been done for quite a while, same with the attorneys.
I called last week and the attorney was out of state at the time.
She'll be here Wednesday morning or Wednesday, Thursday, because there's a CSEA contract negotiation session.
But
Because I have 2 or 3 things I need to talk about.
I want to talk to her before that, so.
We can sign one done first, because I know I've got some businesses that need to go for variances.
Have you heard from this
Yeah.
business on Main Street? Pucci's?
I did talk to him, I saw him out last week, and I talked to him about it. So.
Okay, because I don't know if any design work or anything's been said or been.
Yeah,
He's got some, okay.
I just had a question. Where was the information about the planning board? Is it on the website? Because I tried to look for it. About who's on the planning board, when the terms are.
It's under, is the planning
We're
board
working on
on
it.
there? That hasn't been on there yet, right?
There's a couple that have expired, so we're trying to get it updated. We'll have something for the next meeting for you guys to.
So
And
I
two
just
come
was
on.
concerned about the terms, like the.
They're 5-year terms.
Who's up when, where, how?
Their dates are all staggered,
Okay.
so I
We
know.
just had turnover, so we had added 2 this year.
We've had 2. The chairman has to get reappointed at this next meeting, or, by next meeting.
And is that by the board or is that by the planning board?
No, it's by the board.
The board.
Quite, yeah, they're 5-year terms.
So are we gonna do that next meeting?
Yeah.
As soon as I get it prepared, I'll give it to
Yeah.
Alyssa to get ready, and then we'll get the,
Because I was reading the comprehensive plan, the 5-year plan, and so then I, then I
It's now
spun into the
7-year plan.
planning board and,
Yeah.
both zoning board and planning board members, we're gonna kind of keep an eye on it too, to help the clerks out for when they expire,
Okay.
just so we can let them know to
Great, I just-
do a resolution.
I
There
was
were
just
some
looking for the
changes.
members of the planning board and couldn't find.
There were some
them.
changes on that board where one of the leaders stepped away, so remained on the board, but didn't want to be leader, so Brian came on. And then there were 2 others that.
Brian?
Brian Lewis.
Oh, okay.
And then there were 2 others that left the board, so they were replaced and improved their position.
And Brian, this is the chair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As far as the sign law, last thing I remember, the planning board wanted to review it again before the attorney approved it.
We did all that, and we put our recommendations in it. and then it just.
But I thought I know, but I thought then they wanted to see it again because there's some changes they were thinking about making to it.
And we made them a while back.
Because this was just a couple of weeks ago,
Right.
when we were told that they wanted to take another look at it.
Well, because we didn't realize that it was done, that it took so long. So, but what we wanted to change is actually in the law already.
Okay.
So we met last week, and we passed it again one more time.
Okay.
So, and then I took a copy, went back down to Alyssa to go to
I
the
forwarded
attorney.
it on to the attorney.
Sorry for my ignorance, but you meet once a month?
If we have a meeting, it's the third Wednesday of every month. So we'll have a meeting next month with the planning board for potential battery storage.
Oh, jeez.
And then,
Sorry.
and then in May, they have to go to the zoning board. The planning board will meet first, and then, because they got to recommend to the zoning board for a special use permit.
So the sign law, Alyssa's going to forward that to legal.
Already did.
They've had it.
Already did, and
They've had
then,
it for a while.
so then it'll.
We're just
come
waiting for a
back
public
to-
hearing.
I called her out last week and supposedly she was in Hawaii or
She
something.
wasn't in Hawaii. She told
Will
us.
it then come back to the planning board, or?
So it'll come back to us, if she's okay with it, we can start the process of the public hearing.
But let's do that in the cannabis law at the same time if we can, so we don't have to have two public hearings.
Well, not only that, but we have 3 signs and at least 3 to 4 signs that need approval. And we also have a new interest in possible cannabis, so.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the laws to get done, because we've got people out there just waiting. If I put it in front of the board, right now, the way the laws are, the board will probably have to deny it.
Okay.
So, once we know that the laws is going forward, it's gonna take a little while still, because you have the public hearing, and then once you approve it, that's gotta go to the state, so it takes a little bit of time. So I just wanna give these people the heads up that they can at least start the process.
The one suggestion I would have, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, because it could be a year before we even talk about somebody coming into the cannabis program. As some of us have witnessed, the state with regards to the cannabis law, my suggestion would be, and I don't know if this needs to be adopted as process and procedure or not, but if we are having someone come in, even though that person may or may not have had their paperwork passed by New York State, I would suggest that we ask Police Chief Myers to background check on the individuals coming into the community.
Well, the state does a background check, because you have to apply through the state, and then they notify
Right.
us, and they do a background
And
check.
we've had background checks done by the state before, and then the person ended up on the front page, not here, in former places that I've been associated with, and the people end up on the front page as a long-term drug dealer 3 weeks later. So I don't have a whole lot of faith sometimes in the background checks. But,
We have to be careful, you can't just background check somebody because you don't, not necessarily agree with their business. If you're
Right.
gonna background check, you have to background check.
that's what I'm
everybody.
saying, so you do it all. Yeah.
There is, I think the dinner said, there's somebody that's knocking on our door for a building, and right now, I have no law. So right now, I don't know if just the state law would supersede that or what, until we get our law in place.
As far as the location,
Right, well,
Yeah.
right now, our law, the law that we worked on is stricter than what the state was. That's what he's asking is,
and we, if I remember correctly, we use the town of Ponthar's cannabis law and kind of,
we started with the
Yeah.
town Concord, and then it just went crazy. There's a lot more, it's not the town of Pontford document anymore.
Yeah.
I was hoping it would have been simple like that, but it wasn't.
Chuck and I talked a little bit about, I talked with one of my state connections. The new updates aren't any clearer with regards to distance, as the bird flies, pterodactyls, as you walk on 1 foot. I mean, it really 500 feet, that is still as unclear as it was previously.
well, it doesn't matter, because the location the other gentleman wanted to occupy, we indicated on his application that it was didn't meet New York State distance requirements, they approved it anyway, so.
Right. And the second thing that you have to keep in mind now is my discussions with the state. If anybody were going this way toward St. Joe's, since St. Joe's has been decommissioned as a church, it doesn't count anymore, even though there is a school in St. Joe's. So that we'd have to remind them about. They're just looking at it from the church standpoint. They're not
Oh,
looking at
then
it
it's
from the school
Then
standpoint.
it becomes a school.
Right, right. So, anything else, Chuck? Jermaine, Pat?
No.
Okay, DPW. I want to thank you guys for working on the clock.
Yes, we got the clock telling the correct time. We still have some issues with the music it plays. I think at some point or another in the last couple of weeks, it might have got struck either by lightning or got a power surge from the lightning, and we have to do some more electronic analysis on that, but the clock is reading the correct time now.
Who picks up the music, by the way?
I can't get into it to find out yet, so I don't
I
know.
got a nice playlist we should use.
If I can figure out how to sync you up, John, I'll go for it.
Alright.
I don't know if pickleball is a topic in there or not, but we have
Ozzy
made,
Osbourne.
we have made complete loops through the village and gotten all of the sticks and leaves, the leaves from last fall and all the sticks that came down, picked up, that were put into piles. People have since put more into piles, and we're getting around and picking up those up as well. But we have gone through the entire village for all sticks and leaves, so that's taken care of, and we're gonna continue to go through that again. I got the DPW now certified as a CDL training center. So anybody the village hires, we can officially train and get licensed through the DPW. It no longer will cost them $4,700 to do the program. We can basically do it for about $100.
So I just have a question about that. So was that approached by the board? Did you approach the board with that? Because now we're gonna need to have people driving our trucks and part of our insurance. and
It's
is
only,
that
it's only our employees.
Okay,
It's only our employees. So it's people already driving our vehicles under our insurance.
Okay.
It's not people coming in from outside.
okay.
So we don't have to worry about that. But anybody we hire for the DPW or that might need a CDL, we can train in-house now.
And we have somebody who's a trainer?
Any of our drivers can be trainers. Any of our CDL drivers can be trainers.
They don't have to go to any kind of school or?
Nope, nope.
The previous was a BOCES.
You can take it at BOCES or you could take it through ECC College was another one. And actually Steve St. George is the one that got us, you could do it through St. George's, he does it through his employees. And that's how we found out about it and were able to do us as well. So yeah, it's anybody can set it up as long as you meet the qualifications, which we do. So again, it'll save us a lot of money as far as sending people through in time.
So you'll be setting up a date for when you'll do the training then?
It's not, it doesn't work that way, actually. It's a couple computer classes they can take on their own. Walk around the vehicle as far as doing like a pre-road check, that kind of stuff. There's vehicles on that as well. And then it's training with the drivers until the drivers feel comfortable that they can pass the road test. So there's a portion that you learn online to get your permit. Once you get your permit, then you can start doing the pre-road check and then the driving. And the driving is two parts. It's driving around the building and off-road and on-road once they get comfortable doing that. So it's a whole plan that the state puts together. We're just going to be following it and doing the training through us. But there's no minimum. If you were capable of driving the truck after 2 hours and could pass the test, or you can do it 200 hours before you take the test. There's no state requirements as far as that goes. So, yeah, so we're qualified on that. Other than that, we're just going through and no major issues with our current systems right now. Everything seems to be flowing and working pretty well. It's been a very quiet 2 weeks. I'm probably jinxing myself other than the snowstorm last Monday, so everybody keep your fingers crossed and don't say the words.
Is there a plan to pave Temple
There is a plan to,
or patch it?
we have a patching plan for the summer, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, we're hoping to do the east parking lot, depending on if we get a road name for that. And then I've got companies that are looking that will come in and spot mill, or we may spot mill certain areas. And we're gonna basically be hot patching all summer long for everything that's, yes.
Yeah, Because they mentioned it at the last meeting, I kind of told everybody that I had a call in the middle and needed to see what we need to do to turn the alleyway into an actual street. Needless to say, I haven't got a return call yet, but I'll have that conversation with her when she's here this week.
I think we did talk about, if people had suggestions, you can send them to us by email, send them to, we can share them with the trustees instead of sending them all to each and every trustee.
You mean the name of the street?
Name of the street. Now, the question of that, I'm not trying to make anything any longer than it already is. My discussions when we had talked about last year when we parked that side was both sides are used to avoid red lights. Okay? So both sides actually, if you're gonna name one, you might as well name both.
No, it goes all the way down.
Yeah, so it goes all the way across. So that would go from Eagle to Water, from Water to Canada Way. Yeah.
I would suggest like East Alley and West Alley streets, just to make it
I
simple.
was hoping to name it after my dog, he passed away.
Well, we could do Jenser Way and whatever else. for the Olympics on.
Yeah.
One other thing I did want to bring up was we had 6 or 7 trees come down in Russell Joy Park and several on the entranceway to Russell Joy Park. I would like to suggest that maybe the board ask if people want to donate trees that we would be willing to plant. If people would be willing to donate trees, we could put a little plaque on them for the people or whatever. I'd love to get a bunch of trees bought by people that we can start replacing the ones that are coming down the park, because there's several more that are going to happen. So
Okay.
I just want to go back to the paving of the parking lots.
Yes.
I have talked to Chips myself personally. We're on a very slippery slope to do that, and I just want to caution the board
And
to
so
use chip funds for those parking lots could be very disastrous to us.
if it's a street,
It is a parking lot, and you're naming it a street so that you can use the CHIPS funds to pave it. And
We're also using common parking lot because it's a danger to the people that walk through there.
I'm not going to argue about it. All I'm telling you is that if you do that, to use CHIPS funds to pave that parking lot, it's a very slippery
We're aware
slope.
of it. If we put it before it's a street, then we're in trouble. My discussions with the people at the state level are, if it's officially changed over to a street area, then that is a street and the safety is. We have a
That's not
$20-some million lawsuit sitting on that parking lot that's sitting there, and we patched it to death because somebody's broken their ankle or claims that they twisted their knee in there. That's another lawsuit sitting out there.
I just caution you about it.
Dave, so we had a conversation 2 weeks ago about the lights at Russell Joy Park. Do we get any kind of figures or from Beck Electric what it would cost to put lights in there?
Jen has gotten a couple different quotes on different things, but they wanted to go back out and do some research on that footing on the one pole that's completely down. So there's questions of whether it would be actually cheaper to put new light posts, different kind of light posts in, as opposed to replacing the bulbs and doing what's there.
Yeah.
So we're working on it as far as that goes.
Truth be told, at least 1 to 2 other of those poles are loose and bounce all over the place.
The one's leaning a little bit,
Yeah.
yes, they're not, and we're gonna have the poles all through Russell Joy Park, Birchwood, Middlesex, when they were installed, are all installed too low, the bases are rotting off them, and we're gonna end up with a bunch of those poles needing to be replaced too. So there's a lot of light pole issues coming in the future of the board, just so you know.
All right.
Alyssa, when do we set up that Siemens meeting? Is that Thursday? Oh, I have it. Oh, I got it right here. Hang on, I'm sorry. Because Dave, I'd like you at that meeting if you can make it. Siemens is going to be here to discuss the streetlight situation.
Would you deem that a high priority?
What's that,
Replace the
sir?
bases of the poles, because it could be a liability issue?
The problem is that all the bases are set too low in those areas, and the metal plates sit
Yeah.
below ground. So you'd have to go through and literally raise every one of those bases above ground and then fix all the bases of the poles that are rotted. The other issue is that when Beck looked at them, there was questions that Siemens didn't even install them properly, which is why there's grounding issues and other issues going with them. So, and then a lot of the Siemens lights are installed on Niagara Mohawk poles, so if Niagara Mohawk switches the pole, the light comes down, Niagara Mohawk will not put the light back on the pole because it's not their light. So we have 3 or 4 lights that are sitting in our shop that Siemens has to physically come back and install or pay Niagara Mohawk to put up, or we have to pay Niagara Mohawk to put up. So this whole Siemens contract is a bit of a joke.
It's 1:30 at my office.
On Thursday?
Thursday.
Okay.
The only other question I have is Beck priced out Water Street lighting yet?
I was told that we needed to send out all of our electric to get different electric companies to quote it.
Depending on if it's over 20,000.
Okay, so on an individual light bulb, we can, or is it,
Depends on the cost, like if we're spending over 20,000 with one company in our fiscal year, it needs to be bid out.
okay, we've already done that with Becca,
I'm sure we have.
So we've got to put a notification in the paper stating that we're accepting bids for it. And then we can hire an electrician company, and then we can vote on them being an
Okay,
electrician
can we
company.
get that done as far as number of lights that need to be replaced and that out and about? I'm fielding calls on a daily basis because
Yeah.
basically Water Street's dark at this point. And
There's several out at Castile Heights and several other places as well, and I've been basically waiting for us to get down to bid as far as,
yeah.
and then we can move forward, so.
Okay. Well, I understand. And I think if you drive around the village, it's like the history of streetlights as far as some are older, some are newer, some are different, some are the different designs in different communities. And I know there's specific kind, Castile, and then down here off Chestnut, the paint's falling off. You had somebody get electrocuted. Wasn't major electrocution, but
And
the
that,
dog went to the bathroom on the pole, the dog got zapped, and the gentleman who was holding the dog got zapped. So it's been addressed, but
that was
it's
one
not
of the
good.
Castile Heights ones where they were installed improperly, and,
Yeah.
yeah.
I see everybody.
We're learning here as we're going along with
We
these
go along.
contracts.
Yes, sir.
Just so that everybody knows that if you're doing electrical with those poles, it has to be a licensed electrician in the village.
Yes, sir.
And we have a list on our website.
Yep. Good deal. Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else under DPW? If not, we'll move on to fire department.
Fire department.
I have one question for David. This Friday, we are having a meeting with the North County Water District and the town of Pomfret. On the agenda, I just got a copy of the agenda today. They're still going to be asking me about our water mains. And in the past, I've asked you've shared with me what you know about our water mains, and we do have a map. And in terms of composition, I believe you said majority of it is cast iron. Is that right? Yeah. How about, could you supply, and I don't know if you could do it with the map and then scale it accordingly, but could you offer an estimate on the total length of the water mains in the village?
I don't know if that's ever been done before or not. I mean, we'd have to literally probably drive around and measure.
Well, I'm thinking if the water main map shows.
I don't know if they do or not. I can look and see.
Okay, keep in mind that we also have somebody on retainer that we can ask those questions to as well.
It might be beneficial to have you at that meeting if we're going to talk about.
I'm going to be on vacation on Friday, so I'm not going to
You're
be
the
able to.
Saturday. I didn't go to that meeting.
I mean, you could call me in, I can talk to you at the same time.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, I can try to find that number out for you. I don't know if anybody's ever measured them out. Doug Bunch might be a better answer on that one because he's been there for 26 years doing the water lines.
Ask Doug, and if it doesn't have an answer, we'll call the consultant.
It's just, this is the kind of information we need to be able to present.
Yeah, this is the first I'm hearing about it, so I mean, I can look and see if there's a scale on that map. I don't know if there is or not.
Well, I'll check as well. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a scale on it. If there is, I mean, we can try to scale it out as best we can, but somebody might have measured it for that matter.
Okay.
We'll get you an answer if we can.
Yep.
Fire department?
Yeah, this past weekend we did our in-service training on a new ladder truck, Tower 18. So a manufacturer rep from South Dakota was in town for 3 days. Went very well. I'll be requesting a meeting with the public safety trustees to kind of talk about our fleet over there for apparatus and what the next 6 months looks like. Festivals Fredonia came and met with me to talk about the eight Great Wednesdays, the music series that they're doing. Talked about that, nothing really major to share. They're going to be doing their permit request, special event request soon. I also met with a company that's proposing to the town for a battery storage facility in the town. They came and met with me at the firehouse. They gave me a bunch of stuff. A little premature because it hasn't even gone to the town yet, but it was an interesting meeting. Department training, lot of training going on, a new apparatus, a new engine, new tower ladder, so that's keeping them busy. And then, they're continuing to do the required other career training every single month. And then part of my end of month report for February 2026, submitted that. If there's any questions, let me know. Specifically, page 5 is that year-to-date cost recovery / revenue tracker. So that reflects the town contract money that pays in March. So that's a change from last month. So we're doing pretty good, just shy of $1 million so far for this fiscal year. Pending any questions, that's all I have.
I just have one question for you. So on the battery storage stuff, so do you even have any like SOP on how to handle a battery storage fire?
We don't, no.
Is there any in New York State? Is there anything put out yet for those
Well,
things?
it would all be department specific, but I'm sure there's best practices that exist. Honestly, I haven't looked too much into it because I haven't had to yet.
Okay.
But I imagine in the near future that will be on
It's
my
pretty
radar.
scary to me anyway.
Also, EV fire, right? Do you have any kind of SOP on that?
We have SOPs on lithium-ion batteries.
Yeah.
We do. Really, you can't put them out, right? I mean, water's not even going to put out a
Right.
lithium-ion battery fire. I mean, we have that bicycle shop downtown. We have a lot of electric bikes, electric scooters, so that's on our pre-plans and stuff like that.
Okay.
But the county, Chautauqua County got a big grant maybe a year and a half, don't quote me, ago, where they passed out a bunch of like substance that you're supposed to submerge a battery that might be off-gassing into. But that's not something we're going to do, right? We're going to kind of stand by, protect any exposures, and call the hazmat team. That's really our SOP, unfortunately.
I was just wondering if you guys were, where the fire department was at battery storage, that's all.
Yeah, it's something I think that's right around the corner.
They were talking about the frontage or something, right? How much frontage or how much,
Like how close proximity.
yeah, like there's a, I don't know, I was
that's all
reading
getting
something.
written into law, I would imagine.
Well, there's a battery storage law.
Yeah,
They changed it from, I think it was 100 feet from a home to, I think they expanded it.
Yeah.
It was larger, 500 feet, something like that.
I want to say 2,000 feet,
But I like that better.
I like that even better, yeah.
Louis just informed me that for the DEC reports, one of the reports he has to make, he had to ask Scott that question, 41 miles.
Thank you. That's
Well, thank Louis. So.
total village?
Yeah, 41 miles of water mains in the village.
Thank you very much, appreciate
So
that.
that's your answer.
Look at that.
Speaking of EV and update on our EV charging systems, they're now at the state level. They're just waiting for the final approval before they start installation. They'll be contacting DPW and fire department once that comes about. Okay? Police department.
Having a meeting with state police and hopefully sheriff's department can make it also on April 1st to discuss the plans for Fred Fest this year. Fred Fest is the weekend of May 2nd. We have also been, not just us, our area, I mean all the way out towards Jamestown, we've been investigating several vehicle thefts again, and their Kias and Hyundais. Just before I came up here, I emailed Michaela 2 links for people in the community to, and I'll put it on our Facebook also, but if their vehicle, can get a recall done on it, it disables the ability to just pop the steering wheel cover off and jump it. So we've had probably 4 or 5 of them in the past month. So, and they're all in the same area. We kind of have an idea of who's doing it, but they're 13, 14, 15 years old. So overnight parking is still in effect until April 15th. Just let everyone know. bouncing off your, and I'm having an issue with our emergency lights. It was brought to my attention during the power outage, the emergency lights in the station. We have a generator, but there's certain parts of the department that are dark, and one of the employees downstairs brought it to my attention. I purchased batteries for them. I thought maybe the batteries were old. Replaced them. It's still kind of not working the way that it should work, so I'm gonna have to have someone take a look at that for us.
Yeah, I think it's not DFT anymore. They sold their security over to
Doyle.
Doyle. Yeah, so we'll have to call Doyle. I can talk to you about that tomorrow, or either one of us. You said overnight parking is until April, correct?
Yeah, April 15th.
Yeah, and that's no parking overnight on the streets. Could snow that at that time in the past, so. Anything else, Chief?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Recreation Department, we have no updates at this time other than, I believe, unless your committee members have anything that they want to update us on. I know they are looking, Russell Joy Park and things are moving forward with that. Yeah. Okay. Wastewater treatment plant.
We are moving ahead with our grip pump project. Kester was down today for the room scans for the pump fitting, and so they can get the specs for submittal. We completed our pumps and stands painting project, and we finished doing the pumps that needed to be done, and that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Wastewater, or water treatment plant, I apologize.
Demolition started on our old chlorine system this morning. The other system's been up and running pretty good, so happy about that. It's moving forward.
Well, thank you. I want to thank Trustee Wendell for walking through that and getting that done. That was a, correct me, $400-some-thousand project that came about. Is that correct, Alyssa?
Yes.
$460,000. Again, replacing coordination system that needed replaced a long time ago. So we appreciate you getting that done. And before anybody asks, the team of trustees, along with Lewis and Labella and others, including the health department, worked very well in picking equipment that can be utilized in another situation if indeed we move away from the current water treatment plant, can be retrofitted or sold to another community if it needs to be done. So we thank you for that opportunity. New business. I've got a letter here, sewer forgiveness request. I don't think any of you have had the time to take a look at it yet. It says, Dear Mayor Ferguson, Village Clerk Johnson, and Board of Trustees, I'm writing you as the parent of a student residing at 57 Day Street, account number 1546, to formally request a sewer forgiveness credit for the current billing cycle. We were recently alerted to a catastrophic spike in water usage at the property, totaling 121,000 gallons for the 88-day period ending February 20, 2026. See, the attached bill shows nearly 500% increase over the previous period's usage of 22,000 gallons. Upon investigation, it was discovered that a faulty fill valve and flipper in the toilet were causing a continuous internal leak. We took immediate action to resolve this. The property owner, Tom Whitney, had confirmed that his maintenance person, Howard, replaced the hardware and has verified the residence is now leak-free. Keep in mind, my son just moved into the resident rental on August 2025. I spoke with the billing partner today. They directed me to your board for a formal review of the sewer charges. I respectfully ask that the board grant a one-time adjustment to the sewer portion, $998 of this bill based on the following. Clean water classification. There was an internal fixture leak where the water flowed directly into the building's drainage system without being used for additional household purposes. Consequently, the water did not add the typical treatment burden or load to the village's sanitary sewer system. Proactive remediation. In light of Fredonia's ongoing water conservation efforts, we immediately stopped the loss of water as soon as the billing anomaly was identified. Local precedent. I'm aware that local boards in this district, including the town of Pomfret, have recently granted sewer forgiveness resolutions in similar catastrophic leaks, such as the January 2026 resolution for account number 0465. I'm requesting that the village board apply a similar standard of fairness to the situation. Attached to the email, please find the current bills showing the $1,947.60 balance and written confirmation of repair from the property owner. Also, from the billing department stated to me that since the use was just repaired on March 10th, that there is also unbilled charges of another 25,000 gallons of sewage usage from February 20th to March 10th, 2026. Thank you for your time and for your service to the village. I look for your response regarding this when this might be discussed at board workshop or meeting. Sincerely, Fred Andres, and his phone number is included. So there's a copy of that letter for each of you. And there's a copy of the bills attached as well.
So is he trying to state that if it's clean water, it doesn't cost us any more to treat it?
That's what it sounds like.
Because it doesn't matter if it's clean or unclean, it's still going through the water treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant, unless I'm incorrect, right? It still goes down there
It
and
all
gets
gets
treated.
treated.
It goes in the sewer, it goes in that, still
Yeah,
gets treated.
so it gets mixed up with everything else, and it's how many gallons that are being treated. So that seems kind of hollow to me.
Before we go into the next two, the Gouda Music Festival in the
Well,
community.
can we talk about this one a little bit more?
Go right ahead.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any concerns about that? I mean, I don't know what kind of relationship the owner has with the tenant, whether he tells the tenants that they're responsible for the water bill, but if there was a plumbing issue, that's totally on the building owner, not the tenants.
That's generally how we've handled it.
Yeah.
That is true.
Why is that the tenant's responsibility if the maintenance isn't done? They're not responsible for maintaining the building or the fixtures. That's
I mean, they may have a contract that makes him responsible
what's in the lease.
for the water bill. That's unusual, but
Yeah.
it's possible.
No, not really.
Yeah.
It's just, I guess my thought is that the reason that it was 121,000 gallons because there was a internal issue with the plumbing that is not the tenant's fault. The tenants aren't responsible for fixing plumbing problems. I wouldn't think. But that's just.
Now it's time to discuss it, if people want to
Well,
discuss it. it's
the
time
only
to
thing I
call
can
the
say is
workshop.
that it was probably in the lease that he pays the water and sewer bill.
I don't know.
That's probably it.
Who pays that bill? Do you know?
It sounds like the tenant does, because the tenant's the one that asking for
I
forgiveness.
think that's who came in to pay it, was the tenant.
But who normally pays it?
The property owner.
It depends on what your lease is.
Well, no, I mean, in this, for this
For this specific
For this
bill?
specific one, who
It's a-
makes the payments?
I'm pretty sure it's the tenant.
It's always the tenants, okay.
That makes sense.
And what I would suggest to people, because sometimes you hear water running in your apartment or your house, and you don't think anything of it, maybe just jiggle the handle on the toilet. That jiggle can cost you a lot of money if you don't fix it. So I'll leave that up to you to further discuss. Any further discussion on the problem?
Well, the only thing I have to say is that if the tenant knew there was a problem and didn't tell the owner there was a maintenance issue that needed to be fixed, right? Like, I mean, how many young college kids are gonna worry about their toilet running? Just not gonna happen. Sorry.
But shouldn't that be an issue between the tenant and the landlord then?
Kinda.
How to resolve that?
Right, I'm not sure I understand what the board's, like, what our involvement is in any of this.
They're just asking for forgiveness for the bill because it was a
Very
issue
high.
with the toilet.
And we have another one, potential court case with another bill, again, something that he said, she said, whether it's the tenant or the building owner, as to who is responsible for something, but they got over a $3,000 bill.
Do you know what the normal bill for that is?
Yeah. I think it's stated in the letter that I just read,
Get involved.
which on
Exactly,
average.
that's how I feel.
Yeah.
This is not, this is not our fault, you know, the village has no fault in this situation.
Right.
So
Just
why should we?
22,000 gallons
Our
usually.
resources
And the
have been
money was
used.
used, or the water was used.
And I think setting a precedence
I
is
don't-
probably not a great
Well,
idea.
therein lies the precedent has to be settled then that don't send us these, if that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
And I think that should be.
Or if people call in on those, that we tell them that, we ask those questions, not that the departments, people who run departments are qualified to ask those questions, whatever those questions may be, to determine whether it is something that the village needs to be involved in or not, before it gets to this level.
And I know we have in the past, there was a gentleman that was in a nursing home. His home was unoccupied for months, and suddenly he got some astronomical water bill. And no one was ever in the house. So I know we made an adjustment to that, but as far as I remember, that's the only adjustment we've ever made to a bill.
And I guess there has to be something that we as a board or a village puts out stating we are not responsible for whatever the verbiage that you want out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that because some of them we may be, so I wouldn't
Then we'll
want
take each one case by case.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
Send your cards and letters. too.
Do we have a precedent of forgiving bills?
No.
We do not.
This is the town, it mentions the town of Pomfret having done it, but
Right.
we don't know anything about that.
Yeah, we
That
don't
doesn't have
know.
anything to do
Okay.
with.
It does make a reference to the town of Pomfret.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if
All
we
right.
want to further investigate that, that's out there.
Okay.
And whatever answer you want to give on Monday, we will give that answer. Before we go on to the next two, which are events happening in the village, since I have three of our emergency management leaders here, part of the reason why Fire Chief Myers had started the emergency management team or operation was to manage emergencies, was to imagine events, to manage things that are happening. I think for those of you who've been around me long enough, know that while I absolutely love and encourage events, there's new danger to events now that perhaps weren't the type of dangers that we've had in the past. People that either through medical complications run off the road and hit people, or people who now do it for various reasons and for whatever they feel is the logical reason to try to hurt people. So with that, we have a team that is made up of Fire Chief Myers, Police Chief Myers, DPW Director Dave Bird, and myself on an outsider. They're the key people. One of the things that kind of drove me crazy in the past was the amount of time, particularly nearing the spring and summer, when the board would be having to deal with the Easter Bunny wants to read books to children in the gazebo. Do we have a date? Do we have a time? Do we have all these other things? Whether insurance and all these other things came about. And with the emergency management team, which essentially were the ones who were left out of events in the past, police and fire were usually the last ones to really find out that streets needed to be closed, or that garbage cans needed to be brought forth, or things, electricity needed to be had, those types of things. Really wasn't anything that the board needed to decide on. It was things that the fire chief was happy with the layout of the situation. The police were happy with the layout. Chuck is happy with the people with their licenses and everything that they need. And DPW wasn't told on a Thursday night that they need electricity and all the other fun things. So that was formed. And about a month ago, or if not longer, we had asked that a form be filled out or put on the internet that can be utilized for clear housing these things. So all the board would do when it's approved by these individuals would then just say, okay, thank you. You're aware of it. You're aware of a project that's coming up. The only case that the board would be brought in on that is if there was something like a drinking law or something like that, that the decision isn't made by police, fire, or DPW. That's a decision, that's a law and a decision that the board would have to amend or uphold. So it's in its very early stages. I want to thank all three of the EMO officers because they worked hard on the form. There's some other things that need to be happening. But in these first two, they kind of slipped between the cracks a little bit, the Gouda Music Festival and the Community Cleanup Day. Community Cleanup Day is the annual cleanup day that the fire department and the police department puts on at Water Street. I've participated in it, and I know Trustee Esperson has in the past, and I think a couple other trustees have come down and helped out. And it's basically the community comes by, picks up garbage bags, they have dumpsters there, they have food, they have hot dogs. It's usually one of the colder days or wet days when it is done. But it's a way to get out there and collect a lot of garbage that, we have a lot of elderly out there that people can't necessarily get to on their own. And it's a great community thing, and it's been a great presence for the police department, in particular the police, the union, the PBA, that puts this whole thing together. So, yes, we're going to ask for a review and approval of these two events, but from here on out, I mentioned to the team that we're going to try to meet later this week, either on Thursday or Friday, and kind of shore up somehow, so those things go directly to them through the website or however Alyssa's been sending it to them, so that they can sign off on it and get it back to us. And basically, they are the clearinghouse for those events, unless there's some law that needs to be addressed.
Then it needs to go in front of the board still, so it's approved.
Right.
It really still does.
Right. So,
Yeah, so if I may, right, the intention of that form is just, so when the board sees it, we've already seen it, we already agree or don't, or excuse me, we recommend or don't recommend, has nothing, I have no business approving or denying someone's, nor will I, right? That's your job.
Just doing the checks.
checklist, yeah.
Yeah, because just like the mayor said, right, in the past, event ABC, it would get brought up and it'd be the first time some department heads would hear it. So this is just a way to clear that up,
So that you're assured that when it comes to you for approval, it's said and done. So, and they will let us know if there's something, or Alyssa will let us know if there's something that's coming up with regards to a law that has to be addressed with it, and then we have time to talk about it. We don't have to worry about whether the Easter Bunny's going to be able to read or not. So those are the other two things that are on there. Anything else under new business that any of the trustees have to bring up?
I would like to bring up something related to what we're discussing with an event. I'm aware that on March 28th, which is a Saturday, from I believe 3 to 5 p.m., Barker Common, there will be a No Kings rally. And actually, it's very well publicized. Is that something that needs a application, or is it an event, and if so?
Sure.
Yeah.
I would think, but I'm asking.
Yep. I would say, yeah, absolutely.
And apparently, I mean, there is an event organizer, so I would think, based on how you're reacting, that you haven't gotten any input.
They've done that several times. I don't believe they've come to the board for approval. I think they would say it's probably a free speech thing, and I believe they're marching up the sidewalk from about where the Presbyterian Church is.
Yes.
And then gazebo, and then dispersing.
Yep.
But they are using the gazebo, they are commandeering the park.
Yes.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's something the board does, either you decide to let go or not.
Bottom line is, they've had several of these protests in the past. They kind of come up a little bit at the last minute. The only problem I have had with any of them myself is I have seen, it wasn't during one of these particular protests, but a unionized protest that was going on last year, where people were literally standing in the street holding up signs. Where the ones I've witnessed on these, they have not been standing in the street. They've been on the corners. But they haven't literally been standing in the parking spaces holding up signs.
I have seen signs though that have said, "F this person," or...
Well, if that's the case, then we would lose a major vendor every Saturday morning if that was the case. So
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, with these particular rallies I've seen been in the park where they've had signs that were using vulgar language and whatnot.
I think there's a difference between utilizing our parks for what congregation of people and like-minded people, depending on how you believe, what you believe. Several different types of people are capable of showing up into our public parks and voicing whatever opinions that they
There have been
have.
events in the park before that,
I don't think we need to get involved in a brief
Yeah.
moment of
There was
being able to walk and end up in a public park. The other events that are planned that involves road closures or some of the other, the electricity and these other things, those are where, we may want to involve ourselves and put maybe some controls on some of those things, but people can use the park as
I
as
can
long as
think
they're
of at least
engaging or-
2 times within the last year. The college had a march from the college, and then they had a rally at Barker Common. They didn't have a permit. The last fall, whenever Charlie Kirk was assassinated, they had a demonstration in the
Kind of a
park.
visual or something.
Yeah, so.
I think the biggest
agree.
of the issues is them crossing the street with a lot of people. People can get angry.
They're going to cross the street whether they have a permit or not.
But I mean, I agree with Chief, but I also, don't forget, it's also on our end to uphold the Sacred Blue Book. And part of the Sacred Blue Book says, because I had this issue last year, if you remember, we had a family that said, hey, we want to take pictures in the gazebo of our wedding. And we were told, no, you had to have $1 million insurance policy to use the gazebo. And meanwhile, and I mean, the lady said, what if I just showed up and started taking pictures in front of the gazebo? Oh, well, that's different.
Yeah. I mean,
uh,
I kind of see the difference. I mean, we're not approving what's happening. We're simply, it happened.
I think it's a big event, but it's a non-event to get wrapped up in at this point. But you're the board.
The more we try to control those types of things, the more it appears that we may feel one way or the other.
Right.
And I just don't want to have that perception. I would rather have it be a park that people can use.
I mean, I haven't seen a protest yet that really has gotten out of control. Like I said, as long as we just remind people, stay on the sidewalk or stay in the park. Please don't go into the streets with your signs. I mean, they'll cross the street, obviously, but there were 3 or 4 people that were literally in the parking spaces holding their signs out in traffic. And
Now, that would be something that
Yeah,
we
but
could do
that's
something.
But that's all.
That's a violation of local law.
Yeah,
We will respond to chaos.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's just if people want to peacefully march and walk around the park, that's what it's there for.
Yeah.
If they want to break the law, we can.
Well, I want you to know, Mayor, today at the crosswalk, down by, I'm terrible. Codlin's, that one there.
Yes. So
Traffic
what's
was
going downtown?
stopped both sides, waiting for a pedestrian to
Right.
cross. And there was like 5 or 6 cars backed up, so I just want you to know.
I do want to address one issue that came up because it also went to, I don't know if it went to the other board members, I do know it went to Trustee Wandell and myself. If you listen to these meetings, and I don't blame you if you don't because they can be lengthy and boring, but if you have listened to these meetings, if you had seen me on social media, you know that the crosswalks are a major issue for me. I take offense to the gentleman who wrote, some or all of us, with the vulgarity stating that we were careless and didn't care about this person who was in the hospital. I got news for you. I spoke to that person's wife for over 45 minutes, and the very first thing she called for was not to complain about the crosswalk, but about how professional the Fredonia Fire Department was in aiding her husband and their dog at the time. We explained that it is an issue, that our police chief is very much aware of it, and there are plans in place to address these things. Of course, we're not going to tell you what the plans are because it then makes it ineffective. But the idea is it's very difficult to enforce all the crosswalks, and we have many. I will say that out of all the people I watch on those crosswalks, in many cases, the college students, many of whom are from New York and bigger cities, are probably the best at using those crosswalks. They know how to use them. They're very obedient on them. You must stop. You must stop your car if someone is in. That's why they made those bump outs. As hideous as sometimes they may be, stepping out and person waiting, you must
I
stop.
think we should get some flashing lights there.
We are working on that. Yeah.
And I do want to mention that, you know, at crosswalks where we have a walk sign, press the button and wait. And this is addressed to the fellow who walked right across Main Street and then across Central without waiting and into the law firm on the corner. And you know who you are. I've seen you do it before. So please use our signage so you don't get hit.
There you go.
We're supposed to have those in the middle of the street.
We have to apply, you have to apply for them every year from the state of New York,
We had applied for them, they said they would put them in when they did the,
and they didn't, right?
And they lied.
We have also, Mr. Esperson, Trustee Esperson, found a company at last ICOM he went to that we can put the flashing yellow lights on both sides of the sign, of each sign. We figured it was somewhere around $14,000 to $17,000 for the entire downtown community to have those. I spoke to the state. The state said, put in your request. I spoke to the state when they were working down here. I won't tell you what they said, but they were for it. They said, if we come driving down the street someday and they're flashing yellow signs, oh, well, they're going to make you take them down. So essentially what it is when you have your sign, one goes on either side of the sign. It flashes 24 hours a day. It's solar, so we don't have the cost of batteries. And it's low maintenance.
Would that qualify your Safe Streets for a grant?
That's what we're looking at. And we're also, I don't know if you still have the information on that company, but I'll also be going to see those people in May at NICOM. So, yeah, but so the state's aware of our desire to have that done. But please, also, don't mind if you do a little investigation and find out what's going on instead of thinking that nobody cares. But anything that you send us with vulgarity in your letter, you got a better chance of getting a response from Santa Claus. So if you want to talk like a decent human being and you want to respond to us and ask us questions, we're here for you 5, 6, 7 days a week. But if you're going to send vulgarity and insults, it's just wasting your time. Old business, land sale.
So 2 weeks ago, we talked about the cost of the appraisal is going to be $3,500 for all 3 parcels, and we were going to decide if we want to jump in and do that. My suggestion would be that maybe we wait till next budget year and do that, so we can build that into the budget. But I think it's something that absolutely has to happen.
I think that we should know what it's worth anyway.
Yeah.
Before, so we know whether we want to move forward or not,
Let's
right?
definitely put that in the budget.
Yeah.
It's
Get an
justifiable.
appraisal.
Right,
To know the numbers.
Yeah.
right. I mean, is it gonna,
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So you're suggesting to wait until the next fiscal year?
Yeah, until the new budget's passed.
Right,
And then
okay.
order it.
Makes
Because
sense.
we can order and not pay for it. It's going to take her, I don't know, a month to do the appraisal, so.
Right.
Trustee,
Sure.
Trustee,
And we're, what, 3
you want
months
to go into
away from...
executive session on this?
May.
yeah,
Okay, you want to call for it?
sure.
Okay.
That's only a month away, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll be into June by the time,
Yeah.
yeah.
Or
Yeah, that
we
makes
can still
sense.
pay her until June. Anyway.
It'd take us that long just to cut
Push
the
out to
checks.
June. Okay.
And what if the finance team is on board?
Okay, next one we have in our old business. Before we go into number 2, is there anything else under old business prior to going into number 2?
I'm just gonna give a rundown of the budget, the proposed budget, real quick.
Certainly.
Do you have to?
Make everybody miserable.
Hey, I think we did a pretty good job.
Now I'm kidding.
Okay, for the general fund, the estimated revenue is $9,437,777. Capital costs $195,125, with the remaining expenses at $8,129,725, which would increase our fund balance to $35,479, which we really need to work on. Our tax rate will increase 2% from $61.25 per thousand to $62.71. For the water fund, our estimated revenue, $2,035,500, and that's actually taking out some of the Pomfret based on them moving.
I don't think that's gonna happen this year. I don't think they're
Well,
gonna,
our letter said July, so I
Okay.
don't want to over-figure. Estimated capital cost, $201,995. Other estimated appropriations, $2,091,112. Leaving our fund balance at $24,290. Sewer fund, estimated revenue, $2,217,000. Estimated capital cost, 0, because we're working with the grant so far. Other estimated appropriations, $2,248,291, leaving our fund balance at $403,081. That's it.
I want to take a second, and I know the board, and I know that these gentlemen know. I want to thank Alyssa and I want to thank Michaela. They work tirelessly. I know Alyssa's here. I shouldn't say when you're here in the morning. I won't say because people will come find you. They already find you. But she puts in long hours, long nights. She takes things home with her. And like many of us, she takes things personally to make sure that they're done correctly. I think from a 54% tax increase last year to a currently proposed, only proposed, 2% increase, which by NICOM standards, we should be raising our taxes 2 to 5% every year so we can build up our reserves, I think is a testament not only to her and her skill levels, but also to this board, who's worked very hard to put together this. Now, between now and the time that we have to pass this budget, things can change. And I want to thank our department heads. It is not easy to put together budgets based with very little. And I have met with each of them, with Alyssa, and I will say that I haven't seen any budget that came across the table that I thought was that was ridiculous, that was unlikely, and that was unreasonable. The men and women who are putting together these departments are working tirelessly to make sure that, A, they stay within budget whenever possible, and they're doing it by juggling chainsaws and swords. And what I mean by that is lack of manpower, a lot of overtime, which is not their fault. When you lose people, these things happen. So I just want the public to know that this board and this team, and that is the key, this team, which includes the board, mayor's office, our people in our offices, and all of our department heads, are working extremely hard, because we too are Fredonia residents, to make sure that we bring you the best budget possible. With that, it is now the trustees' turn to sit down with the individual department heads, and then we will get together once again to come up with a final proposal. But I want to thank Alyssa for her work on this initial projection, and it's kind of the wrong term to use, but it's ours to either be successful or screw up at this point. So, and keep in mind that many, many, many things happen during the course of a calendar year that you just don't expect, right? And it's tough to plan. But that also goes to what Trustee Wendell and I have been saying for a couple of years. You have to have a vision of where you need to be in 5 years. You have to start gridding out and projecting where you want to be in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, so that whoever is here in the next 3 years or 5 years or 10 years has an idea of where things were left and where things need to be going. To work year to year, and every time a new person sits in this seat, all of a sudden we got grandiose new ideas and everything falls back to the wayside. So it's not an easy process. You know, there's elections every 2 years if you'd like to become part of the team. But I just want to thank the people in this room for what they've done so far and the budgets that they presented so far. And what else, sir?
In 10 words or less, what is the projection for the end of this fiscal year?
I didn't bring that.
10 words, I'll be counting too, so. I'm counting the words.
10 words are, don't ask that question.
Just, it doesn't have to be exact, just a roundabout figure. What are we
So
looking at?
for the general fund for this year, it was, I believe it was to be short 330,000. For the water fund, it was 450, and sewer fund was 240, I believe was the projections.
330.
Yes.
The general fund. Okay.
It's a lot.
Wow.
Okay,
We have to-
under old business.
I don't want to say that,
I-
because that's
I
an I
would-
told you so thing. I'm not going to do that.
Make a motion that we go into executive session to talk about the DPW
I'll second
truck
that.
and
Second,
Second?
trustee Brockler.
Aye.
Trustee Cruz Keefe.
Aye.
Trustee Wendell.
Aye.
Trustee Esperson.
Aye.
Trustee Lazzaroni.
I.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies.